5 goals and 0 saves. In the Champions League semi-final match against PSG, Manuel Neuer let every shot that was on target to pass him. This statistic has many wondering if he is done at this level. The football world is talking about what transpired after the game, and Vincent Kompany had to watch it all happen from the stands, helpless. Let's examine how PSG 5, Bayern Munich 4 turned into the evening that might put an end to Manuel Neuer's tenure at Bayern. In what turned out to be the highest-scoring semi-final encounter in Champions League history, Paris Saint-Germain defeated Bayern Munich 5-4 on the evening of April 28, 2026. 9 objectives. For the first time ever, both teams scored 4 goals or more in a European semi-final, and in the middle of the mayhem was a 40-year-old goalie who, for one evening, appeared to have stayed one season too long. Throughout the game, Manuel Neuer failed to make a single save. He missed all 5 of PSG's shots that were on target. Neuer became the only goalie in at least 16 years to give up at least 5 goals in a Champions League game without making a single save, according to ESPN's stats and research. 5 goals, 5 shots. It isn't a performance. It's an open net. And the individual who is meant to be in charge of making repairs like this. The touchline was not where he was. A sideline suspension was imposed on Vincent Kompany. During Bayern's quarter-final victory over Real Madrid, he was given his 3rd yellow card of the Champions League season. A UEFA official watched him as he sat in the main stand at the Parc des Princes, next to analysts, unable to enter the dressing room and unable to speak with his coaching staff directly. In his press conference following the game, he described the event as a complete disaster. Imagine your business now. During your first season, you created this team from the ground up. The Bundesliga title is already yours. In the quarterfinals, you defeated Real Madrid. Your team had the longest winning streak of the season, going 19 games without a loss. Your 40-year-old goalie, who just let 5 goals without stopping a single shot, is the final obstacle preventing you from winning the Champions League. Instructions could not be shouted. A player could not be pulled aside. At halftime, you couldn't even go through the tunnel. Like a journalist, you observed the entire event from a press box. As a result, Kompany's remarks were significant when he eventually attended that press conference. He applauded the team's 5-2 to 5-4 comeback. He commended his coaching staff for maintaining the enthusiasm while he was away. However, when the discussion shifted to the defensive performance and specifically one man's contribution, or lack thereof, the tone changed. You must comprehend what was meant to occur that evening in Paris in order to comprehend Kompany's intense frustration. This game was set up wonderfully for Bayern. Knowing full well that he would not be on the field, Kompany had carefully prepared his team in the days preceding the first leg. The last team talk had been given by him. This was verified by Neuer before to the game, stating that the participants were now responsible for delivering the final briefing provided by the firm. Sideline duties would be handled by the company's dependable assistant, Aaron Danks. Bayern started off strong. After Luis Diaz was fouled in the box in the 17th minute, Harry Kane won by converting a penalty. It was Kane's 54th goal of the year, his 13th in the Champions League season, and he became the first Englishman to score in 6 straight Champions League games. Taking the lead early, forcing PSG to chase the game in front of their own supporters, sitting back just enough, and then hitting them on the counter was the strategy that was working. However, the fissures showed about 7 minutes later. The man known as Kvaradona ad Napoli was Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. Took a feed from Desiree Doué on the left, cut inside, and curled the ball past a diving Neuer into the bottom right corner. 1-1. Josip Stanisic was severely defeated on the opening goal. Then, in the 33rd minute, 5 feet 7 inches João Neves, a little midfielder, beat Bayern's defenders in the air as he headed PSG ahead from a corner. Michael Ollis, who tormented PSG left-back Nuno Mendes all night, scored a spectacular strike from the edge of the box to make it 2-2 after Neuer stuck to his line, 2-1. Bayern appeared to have regained control. But then, in the final moments of the first half, came the moment that would define it and send Kompany into a frenzy of silent rage in the stands. Alphonso Davies was hit by Ousmane Dembele's cross, which then rebounded into his arm. At first, The referee allowed play to continue, then VAR stepped in. PSG is penalized. Later, Kompany would contest the call, claiming that the ball struck the body before the hand and that he disagreed with the ruling. At halftime, it was 3-2 when Dembélé scored the penalty past Neuer, who guessed correctly but was unable to stop the goal. In 45 minutes, 5 goals. Greatest ever first half in a Champions League semi-final. Additionally, Kompany had to sit and take in every second of it from a distance. People close to Bayern describe him as being very emotional and involved on the sidelines. The second half began as a disaster if the first had been chaotic. PSG made the most of the enormous amount of space behind the Bayern defense. After entering from behind, Achraf Hakimi blasted across into the box. Goglia scored his second goal of the game with a fantastic strike in response. 4-2. 3 minutes later, Dembélé's strike froze goalkeeper Manuel Neuer after passing through Dayot Upamecano's knees. 5-2. The stands were captured on camera. Vincent Kompany sat observing while sporting a black cap. He didn't appear really joyful. Who could blame him, anyway? At the beginning of the second half, his team was in disarray. He was unable to speak. He was unable to adapt. He was a bystander in the most literal sense of the word, while the custodian he had trusted with the season's most important game was giving up goal after goal without making a single save. Then, however, an amazing event occurred. Bayern didn't give up. They did the exact reverse, having just a few days prior on Saturday pulled off an amazing comeback from 3-0 down against Mainz. Bayern started doing the trick again. Dayot Upamecano headed home Joshua Kimmich's free kick in the 65th minute to make it 5-3. 3 minutes later, Luis Diaz brought down a brilliant long ball that Kane had clipped over the top. He then cut onto his right and shot in to make it 5-4. Diaz's score was first disallowed for offside, but Varsek changed the ruling. It became a one-goal game all of a sudden. By the end of the game, Paris was squandering time and defending within their own box while Bayern was striving for the equalizer. Sani Mayelu, a substitute, struck the bar for PSG on the counter after Jonathan Tah's header was saved, and that was all. 5-4, 9 goals. The Champions League semi-final with the most points ever scored. However, this is the point at which it is impossible to disregard the Neuer question. Against the defending European champions, Bayern's assault scored 4 goals away from home. The net was found by Kane, Ollis, Upamecano, and Diaz. With far more possibilities than the XG numbers would indicate, Bayern produced an incredible number of attacking sequences. However, their goalkeeper was unable to save a single shot, so none of that mattered. Kompany was aware that although the attack and midfield fulfilled their obligations, the goalie did not. The statistics by themselves paint a dismal picture, but they don't fully capture the issue. In 2026, Neuer's distribution, once thought to be the finest in the world for a goalkeeper, became a serious strategic risk for Bayern Munich, according to study from Bavarian Football Works. This is how it transpired versus PSG. Paris Saint-Germain was told to press hard by Luis Enrique. Every great team now presses in this manner. And encountered by passing the ball back to Neuer to send it upfield, just like they always do. Neuer invented and refined this sweeper-keeper system. The system that altered football goalkeepers' game. However, that method completely failed against PSG in this semi-final. Neuer's long balls were dreadfully unreliable. He frequently sent the ball out of play when under duress. Otherwise, PSG was continuously losing possession. Consider the tactical implications of that. The ball returned to Neuer each time PSG put pressure on Bayern's defense. In essence, he was giving PSG the ball with his missed long pass. Neuer successfully converted each PSG high-pressing sequence into a turnover. It was a pattern rather than 1 or 2 errors each time. Neuer's legendary goalkeeping was the result of a systemic breakdown. This had a disastrous impact on the team. PSG was granted complete permission to repeatedly construct from the back, putting the Bayern defense under continual strain. Counter-pressing won't be able to stop that. Your midfield and defense will eventually crack if your goalie keeps handing up the ball every time the opposition presses. According to that study, PSG's 5 goals were completely expected. Additionally, there is shot stopping in addition to delivery. Neuer ought to have performed better on 3 or more of the 5 goals. The consensus among analysts appears to be that Kvaratskhelia first goal was truly unstoppable, a superb curling effort from the left side, and the penalty was a penalty. However, if Neuer had performed at his peak, the other 3 would have kept Bayern at or above par. The XG faced for PSG was only 2.61, which means that a goalie should have typically given up 2 or 3 goals from those opportunities rather than 5, according to CBS Sports. There was a startling discrepancy between the actual and expected performance. The day following the last whistle, it was player ratings. Neuer scored a 4 out of 10. The evaluation was direct. The Bayern goalie had a terrible evening. He was uncharacteristically inaccurate with his delivery and was unable to make the crucial saves Bayern sorely needed, although he was far from responsible for all the goals. At 40, his age became an issue rather than just a number. In the quarterfinals, he reversed the course of events against Real Madrid. People were pointing to that performance as proof that Neuer still possessed it. However, his final 2 Champions League